Hello there, it is Alex from Barefaced and I am going to show you how to change a speaker in a Barefaced AVD guitar cab. It's a bit different to the normal, but it is far from impossible. So, step one, screwdriver. Now ideally, you use a Posi-Drive 2, a PZ2. You can use a similar size Phillips, but you have to be more careful. I don't know if this will focus on a Posi-Drive. Maybe it won't, probably won't. Difference between a Phillips and a Posi-Drive, they're both crossheads, but a Phillips just has one main cross. A Posi-Drive has a secondary, smaller cross. It's a better type of screwdriver. A Phillips is designed to cam out at high torque, which is really annoying when you don't want things to come out. Unfortunately, Phillips is the standard that is used in the USA. I don't know if it's across North America or just the USA. Europe and the rest of the world, as far as I know, uses the Posi-Drive standard a lot more. There is, I think, a JS standard, Japanese standard, which, as far as I know, is used on Shimano mechs on bikes. So, but anyway, I digress. You want to use a screwdriver, nice, sharp, crosshead, preferably a Posi-Drive. It's a sort of medium size one. Make sure it fits. Don't start doing this with the wrong tools or you will open yourself up to a world of pain. To take the speaker out, you have to take the grill off. Here's the grill. These lower corners are in the way because the grill pulls out from the end that has this tab on. These grills aren't designed to come on and off all the time. We don't want them to rattle, we don't want them to buzz, we don't want problems with unwanted noise. Plus, we don't really want you gigging a cab without a grill on it because inevitably someone will stick their foot through it or a cymbal stand will fall through it or a mic stand or something unfortunate. Speakers are fragile and expensive, so protect them with a grill. There's really no need to take it off for recording or gigging or whatever. Just leave it. So, let's loosen these corners. I would also say that if you're doing this, you've got two choices. A big electric thing or a manual thing. This is the safer choice. This is faster, but you shouldn't be doing this in a hurry. And this is what we use all the time, but we do this all the time. I say we, I don't tend to be doing final hardware. I do dive in on various bits of production, but yeah, it depends what's going on. So, I'm going to get this corner out of the way. Didn't need to actually take the screw all the way out. Probably too much chance of losing it doing that, so let's put that screw back in. What you do not want to do at any point in this process is be rough with anything. And you do not want to over-torque things and strip threads. Some people call that threading things. It isn't, it's stripping a thread. Terminology matters a surprising amount when you're dealing with details like this. So, here you have a convenient handle for your screwdriver. The longer the grill has been in there, the more firmly the Velcro will have stuck and the more annoying it will be to get out. If it's been in there a really long time, this foam tape that we put in there to stop buzzes, rattles, vibrations may have also started to stick to the Tolex, so it can be rather annoying to get out. There we go, and out comes the grill. So grill off, put that somewhere safe. Here's the speaker, 4 bolts. Now, this is an important bit. Let me get my useful thing for demonstrating things. So this bit of plywood has a bolt in it, technically a machine screw, and a T-nut on the other side. The way the T-nut works is it has 4 prongs that spike into the wood. If you undo this, like so, you need to push lightly, so a bit of a push so the screwdriver seats in the head, and then you can unscrew it successfully, yeah? What you do not want to do which some people will do if it's a high torque manoeuvre, is push really hard as they do this, because what happens is you push the T-nut out. And if you push the T-nut out, you can end up with a situation where the T-nut is not undone from the bolt, but is spinning. So the T-nut and the bolt will spin together, and then you have the hideous opportunity of turning the T-nut with the bolt and digging a hole in the back of the plywood baffle of the cab. That is about as bad as it gets. I mean, to do that, you have to be quite ham-fisted. You have to push the T-nut out. You have to cross-thread things. This is more of a risk when you're putting something back in, that you get the screw thread into the T-nut, push the T-nut out most of the way, cross-thread it, and then try to tighten it up. And all that happens is T-nut and bolt spin together and eat a hole in your very expensive guitar, or indeed bass cabs. We use bolts and T-nuts on all of our products. We use bolts and T-nuts because they're better than wood screws, particularly when you're using thinner material for the baffles. So I prefer using a screwdriver. Look, there we go. A little bit of torque, and then you see we twist out like that. A bit of torque. Out it comes. La-di-da. Don't drop the bolts inside, or you'll be fishing around to find them, which is annoying. Bolt out, bolt out. Now, at this point, the speaker, hello, at this point the speaker may not want to come out. Depends how long it's been in there. The reason the speaker may not want to come out is it too has gasket material on it. This was put in there yesterday. There we go. I've got quite strong fingertips and it's still sticking down, so there we go. The reason it sticks down, as I say, is we have this gasket material on it, which is a foam tape. Voila. That's important because the AVD cab uses a Helmholtz resonance at low frequencies, so we've got pressure build-up inside the cab. Like as with a closed-back cab, you have pressure build-up. But if there was any leakage around here of air, you get nasty sort of distorted farting-y noises. The other thing that can happen is the baffle could rattle against the speaker frame. That also would be annoying. So we don't have much slack on these cables because we don't want things buzzing. So hopefully, see if I can manoeuvre this round. I think I'm just going to have to detach it first, then you can see it. Let's get these off. But we've got these fast-on spade connectors. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. That's right, having wiggled one of them, I can probably show you the other one. There we go. Can you see that? No, the world is conspiring against me. Let's get the other one off. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. There we go. Right, put speaker down somewhere safe and show you spade connectors. So these are fast-ons. They push on, they have a click afforded by a sort of little central bit that slides into a hole in the tab. Unsurprisingly, we've got red for positive, black for negative. We've also used black and white before, but with those cables, it's always the marked cable for positive. So we might have an all black cable with a white stripe on one bit, and the white stripe bit is the positive. Or we might have had an all white cable with a black stripe on it, so the black stripe bit is the positive. But actually the red and black, I think, is by far the most clear. You'll see that the red and black then matches with the terminals here. You'll notice there's a capacitor in there. That capacitor is for the low cut filter, so that's switchable with the toggle switch that is also part of that there. The capacitor value is fixed, and that is determined by the impedance that the cab has, well, the impedance of the speaker that's in the cab. So standard is 8 ohms. We also supply them at 16 ohms or 4 ohms depending on the driver choice and customizations. If you're changing the speaker, if you want the low cut filter to work as designed, then you need to match the nominal impedance of the speaker with the replacement speaker with the speaker that's already in there. If you change the impedance, then you will change the effect of the low cut filter. I forget off the top of my head which way it goes, but it either goes up an octave or down an octave basically. So more or less effect. But yeah, you can obviously, at your choice and, you know, outside warranty, modify that yourself with a different capacitor value, but I wouldn't recommend that. We did fiddle around for quite a long time to find what works well with the AVD design. So, putting the speaker back in, if you're putting a speaker of your choice in, there's quite a few things to consider. Obviously, if you want the filter to work properly, match the nominal impedance. In terms of the depth, you've only got a certain amount of depth to play with. As far as I know, every Neo speaker will fit in this, and every ceramic magnet speaker will fit in it, and every Alnico speaker will not fit in a stock reformer. Alnico Celestians will fit in an Alnico reformer, which has a different AVD shape to work with the deeper, narrower Alnico magnet, and alternative Alnico magnets may fit, but we'd need to probably custom machine a different AVD for quite a lot of them, because the minutiae are quite critical, not just in terms of clearance, but in terms of how the AVD sounds in the mids and highs, and how it tunes at the lower frequencies. So the sort of gap widths are very important. The other consideration is you've got the baffle hole, certain diameters. A 12-inch speaker is not a 12-inch speaker, it's a 12-inch nominal diameter. They do vary a little in terms of the baffle hole cutout, so a big cast aluminium frame will probably not fit in something designed for a stamped steel frame like this, but cast aluminium frames are relatively rare on guitar speakers. And then your bolt circle diameter, which is the diameter of the circle that these holes are on. That is really important, because we're not working with wood screws, we're working with these threaded inserts, these T-nuts. So things, you've got a millimetre or two of wiggle room on BCD, bolt circle diameter. So yes, don't try to fit something in there that's not going to fit. The Celestian diameter is the Celestian BCD, that is the most common BCD. Some of the Eminence ones are actually the same, some of them are different, which is confusing. And then quite a few speakers are based on the Celestian frame, so that makes life simpler. So, spades back on. Let's try and do this neatly. So, check for our positive terminal to put the red marked lead back on. Negative terminal. Actually, let me just take that off again, because you probably just need to be reminded what we're looking for. New speaker, spades. That's what the spades push onto, these little tabs here. And you can see the hole in them, which is where the locking bit goes on. So, I will say this is definitely easier when you're not doing it in a slightly unfortunate position, so it can be filmed. So I'd always recommend doing this on a nice flat level surface, not balanced on a few cabs, angled upwards so a camera can film it. So, speaker in, rotate it so the bolt holes match the holes in the speaker. Some speakers have 4, some speakers have 8 holes. We use just 4 bolts on everything. I think the only exception for that is if someone goes for a custom cab with an EVM 12L, because that's a very, very heavy speaker, so it's a massive load cantilevered off the baffle. So we do 8 bolts and we do a double thickness baffle on a custom cab like that, but don't go sticking an EVM 12L in. There we go. Done that deliberately. So what I've done there, I've literally just pushed that T-nut out. So, see if I can get that to tighten up without spinning. This, is that going to tighten? No. So trick here, pull the frame up, tighten, don't completely crush your fingers. Still not quite tight. There we go. Keeping some tension on the spikes of that T-nut. In it goes. There we are. So line that up. Do not go pushing this. So you see, I pushed that in a bit too hard. Let's just get that bolt really light. There we go. There, that's nicer. Minimal push. Just let it find the thread. Come on. Come on, you. Find the thread. There we go. And again. You can always do the that trick to prevent cross-threading, where you spin the machine screw, the bolt, backwards until you hear the click of the thread fall past the thread in the nut. That is can be a good approach, but bear in mind there's gasket material in there which can make things a little less clear. So now I'm going through and tightening them all up. Normally when we use our electric screwdrivers, we have a sort of standardized torque setting for these, so we'd go to low speed. Now you can push, because you know the T-nut can't back out. Alternate sides. I can't remember what the torque setting equates to on these. I know the newer drills have a slightly finer gradation of the torque limiter. Oh, 8 was about right. That's what we used to have. The old ones out there are a bit tighter. There we are. Speaker in. Grill. So, grill. You see the grill has Velcro on the back, foam tape round the outside. Let's just slide it in, pivot into the top. Down you come. In you go. Go up those corners, be really careful not to strip the threads on these little screws. If you do strip threads in wood, I mean, it's not the biggest deal. You can fix it almost invariably extremely well, as good as new, but even though it sounds like a bodge, with cocktail sticks or matchsticks, or even ends of zip ties cut off. They're all actually mechanically quite satisfying things. I don't know if any of you have read a book on philosophy called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by Robert M. Pirsig. It's quite a poignant book, but quite heavy going, but it talks about the concept of quality. And in that it has the example of using a Coke can shim, I think that's right, for something on a motorbike, and his friend feeling that that's no good because it's not the proper part, it's a piece of Coke can, and how can that be as good as an official manufactured bought shim? But that's where something like a zip tie or a matchstick to pack out a strip thread in terms of quality actually works just as well as the virgin thread did before it was stripped. and therefore from a true sense of quality from a functional perspective, it's just as good. So there we are, bit of a philosophical pondering. That's it, speaker swapped. It's kind of different to conventional guitar cabs. We build our cabs like this because it's the only way to make the AVD work, because that needs to be behind and that has to be fixed in and glued firmly and not rattling. This is the most expensive way to build a guitar cab. It would be much cheaper to build them the conventional way of rear load the speakers and take the back panel off and things like that. It's quicker for Tolexing, it's quicker for manufacturing, it's quicker for fitting speakers. This way sounds better, much better, as people who use these will tell you, and we can actually do our processes with lightweight plywood and end up with a lighter product that is really robust, really tough, really gig friendly. And yeah, the only downside is the cost, because it takes us more time to make them, but they're not very expensive compared to how expensive guitars can get, or amps, or anything like that. As you well know, they are far from cheap. You can get a much, much cheaper cab, but they work very well. So that's how to change a speaker. If you are thinking of changing a speaker in one of these and are concerned, drop us an email, but hopefully this video should help. That was quite a long video, but that was done in real time. Speaker change, done by me, who doesn't do this very frequently. Yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what else you'd like to see, hear, talk about. And if it's been really annoying having me sort of hiding down here, and if I've been completely whited out by the light, because it's kind of a different angle, Admire our lawn. Isn't it lovely? Thank you. I've been Alex from Barefaced. I'll see you next time.